Welcome to the Luna Syncrasy podcast, where we honor our cycles and the magic of the moon.
Hi, I'm your host, Ruth Canucksta, a data scientist and astrologer. I mix the science of the menstrual cycle with astrology and uncover how all of the cycles of our lives may be affecting our energy each and every day. Welcome back to the Luna Syncrasy podcast. I realized this week that we now have less than 2 months left until Christmas, which means that we have about 2 menstrual cycles and 2 moon cycles left. You may be wondering, why does that matter? Well, beginning in 2019, I decided to start planning my holiday season around my menstrual cycle. I knew I needed to think ahead and use my energy as best I could. Because the year before, in December 2018, I called 911 not once, not twice, but 3 different times. I had a 4-month-old baby at home and I was sleep deprived and clearly stressed out looking for help. After that holiday season, I knew I needed to get my act together. And that's when I started planning my holidays around my menstrual cycle, which has made everything so much easier. If you don't have a menstrual cycle for any reason, you can use the moon cycle instead. But if you do have a menstrual cycle, I recommend using that energy since you'll feel it the most. Both our menstrual cycle and the moon cycle follow the natural flow of project planning. We start with high-level planning. We can decide what needs to be done and what we want to focus on. These are the things that are really easy to do during the menstrual or new moon phase. Then we start to come up with our specific ideas. How will we do what we planned? This is great because we're most creative during the follicular or waxing moon phase, which allows us to come up with the best ideas. During ovulation or the full moon, we feel the most social. So we can use that time to start to talk to other people about the plan that we made and get feedback to improve our ideas. And we can also plan for more social activities during this time. The last phase is the luteal phase, or when the moon is waning or getting smaller. This is the time to follow through with what you plan to do. You'll feel the need to complete projects in the luteal phase as well. So how does that relate to the holidays? Well, there's so many extra things that we need to do during this time. Planning what we're doing around what our energy is like makes those tasks easier and more manageable. Most holiday tasks aren't really a full project, which is great because we can jump right in no matter where we are in our cycle. So we're going to start in the winter phase. That's when we have our period or it's the new moon. And during the menstrual phase, the 2 sides of your brain communicate best. So you're actually optimized to do the best high-level planning because your entire brain is working together and you can use that to your advantage. Some of the things that I like to do during the menstrual phase, right before the holidays, is to start to think about what has worked in previous years and what did not. So that makes me want to think, these are the things that we did previously that I loved, that everybody liked, and I would like to do that again. Or these are these other things that were not so great. Let's try to avoid those. I also like to make a list of all of the holiday things that I want to do this year, and then focus on what's the most important. I'll also do my holiday gift planning. I figure out who are we going to see this year and who needs a gift. We don't need to plan the gifts yet, but who are we going to be buying gifts for? I'll also start to plan meals and figure out who's going to be responsible for different tasks on Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever it is that you celebrate. Another option is to determine what we're responsible for this holiday season. So by making a big plan and figuring out what actually needs to be done and what days do we have deadlines, I can kind of start to make a plan and figure out, okay, these are the things that need to be done first, these are the things that can wait, and making that plan is a good way to use your menstrual phase. So after our period stops and before we ovulate, we're in our follicular phase. And this is similar for the moon. So it's as the moon is starting to get bigger between the time that it's hidden in the sky as a new moon and when it's a full moon. During this time, it's a really good time to do creative tasks. You'll find that you come up with better ideas and you can use that creative energy to your advantage. So this is the time that we actually want to come up with those gift ideas. It's going to be a lot easier to think about that during the follicular phase. Because we're creative, it's also a really great time to make homemade gifts. So if you're going to be making cards or even wrapping gifts, anything that's really creative, you can do during the follicular phase. Going along with that, so if you're going to decorate for the fall, decorate for Thanksgiving, decorate for the winter holiday season, that will feel really good during the follicular or waxing phase of the moon. I also like to use this time to design my holiday cards. So once I have taken my pictures with my family, I've been designing my holiday cards during my follicular phase, and I think they've been turning out better. It's a lot more fun for me when I have that creative energy flowing. And then I don't actually do Elf on the Shelf, but if that's something that you do, or if you have another creative outlet during the holiday season, coming up with those ideas of some funny Elf on the Shelf ideas would be a lot easier during the follicular phase. The next phase would be when you're in ovulation or when the moon is full. And so right now, you're magnetic. This is the time that you want to shine. And so if you're going to plan a party, it would be really good planning to do it during your ovulation phase. So personally, we like to host a Friendsgiving sometime between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I'll usually try to place that during my ovulation so that I'm feeling the most social. I want to host people, I want to be able to see everybody, and it's just a really good time to do something like that. You can also use your ovulation phase to talk to your family about what's most important to them during the holiday season. It's a good time to be getting feedback from other people, and you can talk about what's important to you, some of the ideas that you've come up with during your follicular phase, and get their feedback during the ovulation phase. You can also just plan some fun activities with your family. Maybe you want to go see some holiday light displays or go see some local holiday parades. It's just a good time to get out and go do things that are different than what you normally do. And the last and final phase would be our inner fall. So this would be the luteal phase or when the moon is waning. What's nice is that if you're following your menstrual cycle, this is the longest time that we have. Your luteal phase is actually almost half of the menstrual cycle, and this is good because this is the time that we actually want to start doing things and getting things done. In the luteal phase, we often feel like completing projects, and in terms of it being the waning moon, this is a good time to not start anything, but complete things. You have your list of the gifts that you want to buy, and so during the luteal phase, you can buy them. Or you can start making your holiday card list. So after you've designed it during the follicular phase, now you can actually figure out who you're going to send them to and address the envelopes. You can go out and buy postage stamps. You can bake holiday cookies, unless you're really creative with that and that's something that you want to do during the follicular phase. But you can really just buy anything and do all of the things that you plan to do during the luteal phase. It's kind of like you're creating your to-do list during the follicular phase and the menstrual phase, and then during the luteal phase, you're able to have that energy to start getting things done. And usually you might find that you want to break it into smaller chunks. You might not have a whole bunch of energy to keep on going, but you will want to get certain things done. And so if you have a to-do list, just checking off one or two things every couple of days will feel really good. There are so many cycles in our lives, with the ones we talked about this week being just a small fraction of them. How do we know what is affecting our energy? At any given moment, we could explain our energy by one of the nearly infinite things that are affecting us. As a data scientist, I want to attempt to prove which of these cycles matter and which don't. When are we feeling the moon or our menstrual cycle, and when are we just affected by our diet or sleep? Please visit lunasyncrasy.com to learn how you can get involved in this project, or click the link below in the show notes. By joining, you may get a free energy astrology reading from me, surveys, or other fun activities where we can talk about our energy. Eventually, I'd like to develop an app that tracks all of our cycles and collects the data needed to prove whether astrology is real or isn't. And by joining now, you'll be one of the first to get access. Hopefully, using your natural energy to do what feels fun and easy during each phase of the menstrual cycle or moon cycle will make planning for your holidays easier. When we stop fighting our natural energy and use it to our advantage, we get more done and feel less fatigued. I'd love to hear if this works for you, and let me know what other activities you fit into your cycles.
So thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate you, and we hope to see you next time.
Bye bye.